I'm Derek Fildebrandt, publisher of the Western Standard. On October 18th, Nathanael Spitzer, just 14 years old, died. The death of a promising child so young in this world is every parent's worst nightmare. My heart, and that of every Albertan hearing the news, was broken. On Tuesday, Alberta Chief Medical Officer Deena Hinshaw reported that a 14-year-old had died in Alberta as a COVID-19 case, although there were pre-existing conditions. As it turns out, Nathanael didn't die from COVID at all. Those pre-existing conditions were in fact stage 4 terminal brain cancer. He was on his deathbed in palliative care when he tested positive for COVID-19. He died days later of his brain cancer. But Alberta Health labeled his death a COVID-19 death, which Hinshaw reported to the media. The media dutifully reported on the death, a case showing that COVID-19 doesn't just kill the elderly and sick, but the young as well. NDP leader Rachel Notley took to Twitter to express her outrage that the government would even mention pre-existing conditions. Better that his death be counted among those lost to COVID entirely. Better to lay his death at the feet of Alberta Premier Jason Kenney. Rachel Notley said, telling their loved ones that there were other health complications that contributed to their death offers no comfort whatsoever. No matter what pre-existing conditions they had, this child died during a fourth wave that was preventable. This shouldn't have happened. We need to know what will be done to stop it from happening again. End quote. But Nathanael's death had nothing to do with the, quote, fourth wave that was preventable. In fact, his death was entirely due to what Notley called, quote, other health complications. This is the morbid state of pandemic politics in 2021. As of publishing, Notley has not apologized to the family or removed her tweets. Nathaniel's sister, Simone, was devastated by the government and media falsely reporting that her brother's death was a COVID-19 case. She took to Facebook to tell the truth about what happened. She said, he died from stage 4 brain cancer, not from COVID. This is fake news. He was diagnosed in January 2021 and hospitalized in August. 2 days before his death, he tested positive for COVID, and it turned out positive. Well, this post came to the Western Standard's attention not long after it was posted. Our reporters investigated and confirmed that Simone was in fact the sister of Nathanael. Western Standard correspondent Melanie Risden published the story on Wednesday afternoon. And unless I'm mistaken, every single last mainstream government-funded media outlet in Alberta ignored the story entirely. The family, who just might know something about the fate of their lost loved ones, were ignored. Their story didn't fit the story that had already been put in print. Their story didn't fit the narrative. Their story was best forgotten. This is not an inconsequential news story. This is not sensationalist clickbait. This was not some QAnon conspiracy theory. This was the government of Alberta inflating the COVID-19 death statistics. This was the mainstream media ignoring the story of the family that contradicted the official government story, which had already been dutifully reported by the media. This didn't come out of left field. We know that there have been bogus government reporting on what constitutes COVID-19 deaths in many jurisdictions. The Western Standard kept at this story. At our morning editorial meeting today, I instructed that this story remain our main focus, and that we tell the story until someone listened. By the afternoon, someone had. Hinshaw took to her podium to apologize for misclassifying Nathanael's death as a COVID fatality. She promised that fatality numbers would be better classified for young people under 18 going forward. From now on, only actual COVID-19 deaths will be labeled as COVID-19 deaths, at least for those under 18 years of age. At last, the mainstream media could report on what really happened. Long after the Spitzer family publicly told the truth on social media for the world to see, the legacy media felt comfortable enough to report on the issue. It was now a part of the official story, as the government tells it. As much as I might take glee in sticking it to our mainstream competitors, I write this at the end of my regular workday, genuinely depressed about the state of government communications and media. Errors happen. We've made them. Newsrooms can be short-staffed and stories get missed. We have. But this was different. This was mass omission of a key and indispensable element of a story that everyone had already published. The only part of the story more important than the government lying about a child's cause of death was that a child died before his time. Our politicians need to stop playing football with life and death. Our media need to stop trusting everything that they are told by the government. And the public? The public needs to stop trusting everything that they're told by the media.